Hey guys, I thought we'd give you a bit of a recording rundown of what we're using for the new TTG record. I figured this would be a good opportunity to show you like the kind of sounds and tones that we've been playing with. We've had a bit of a play around with different cymbals and that kind of thing, just looking for what's going to make the most crispy goodness for this stuff. So we're going with all Zildjian. So we start off on the left. We've got 16-inch Oriental Zildjian China. I really like the way these things sound. We've got the same thing over on the right, but I'll talk about that in a sec. They're just really like, there's a nice sort of wishy note to it without being too trashy. They're quite smooth. The bow size relative to the body is actually really cool. Just gives it a real sweet sound. We're using a bit more closed hat stuff. We're actually asking quite a bit more from the hats this time around than we used to, rather than just being a fucking blast central right hand mainstay. But yeah, we're super stoked with how they sound, especially with all of the rest of the stuff we've got going on. We've got a lot of tone colors coming from like the larger stuff as well. Your standard deathcore 2008 pre-breakdown 6-inch Zilbel, iconic. There's nothing else like it. You hear it and you immediately run to the pit. That's not what we're using it for though. Typically I run this bell here as a replacement for a right side ride, which I used to run and it just didn't make much sense. So I figured if I'm only using the bell, I might as well just have another bell there, effects bell. This is how I would run it on stage as well. But yeah, just in the recording process, I was like, I want to include that as well. And this is going to be for the foreseeable future, the setup that we're running. Left crash, we've got an 18-inch A custom projection crash. Super nice note, very smooth. It pretty much sounds like when people think of the word cymbal, the sound in their head that they hear is usually what this sounds like. I'm a huge fan of the A customs and the Z customs. They just sound so sweet. They're very bright, very full. Same thing with the right side. This we've got a 20-inch projection as well. Really nice separation between the notes. Yeah, you can't beat them. They're just so good sounding. They're pretty much the standard for most records you've heard. In the center, we've got 8 and 10-inch A custom splashes. They sound like glass is breaking, man. They're so good. As I said, you just can't beat them. They're really, really nice. I've used these sizes for about 5 years now. I was playing around with a couple of different splash sizes just because I use a lot of like effects stuff, like the bell and the splashes and the ride bell and that kind of thing. I incorporate a lot of that stuff into my playing. A lot of the parts that I write, I've got lots of sprinkly, tinkly little bits in the fills and stuff. But yeah, these bad boys are serving the perfect purpose. They're exactly as bright as I was hoping to get, and yeah, super stoked with how they sound. The staple, the go-to, the workhorse, the Mega Bell, the Zildjian A Custom Mega Bell. This thing, you can hear it a mile away. It is the loudest thing in the room by far. Absolute juggernaut of a ride. Guaranteed you've heard it on countless metal records, probably some of your favorites. I know it's very, very typical to say, but the bell just rifle bolt cuts through pretty much all of the rest of the sound. It just finds its way through and it sounds awesome. And then yeah, to finish up, we've got this 18-inch Oriental Zildjian. This is pretty much what I think of when I think of the word China. Again, very, very smooth, lovely note to it, very, very swishy, not very gongy, which I quite like. And just anytime you hear that in a breakdown, you're like, oh, it's time to boogie. So moving on to the shells, we've got my absolute workhorse of 10 years. I've owned this snare for just over 10 years now, and I can't, not just for the money, but like just in terms of tone, you would have to go into the 4 figures for snares to get something that sounds that good. Like I've just loved the Joey forever. It just sounds so great. 13-inch by 5.5 steel shell. It absolutely screams. It loves rim shots, high tunings, which is what I tune quite high. We've got Remo all round for the skins, which is great. We're using a controlled sound dot. I forget the order, but really nice. Yeah, as I said, tuned very high, very cracky, awesome sound. And then for the shells, we've got this is actually my D-Drum hybrid kit. These are maple shells, 10 and 12 by 7, and 14 and 16 by 10 inch. So they're kind of weird sizes, very narrow shells, shallow shells rather. But they're very, very bright. I really love how they sound, and it's not a very expensive kit, but it sounds much, much nicer than you would expect from this kind of price point. And it's never let me down. I've had several recording sessions with it. We've sampled it multiple times, and just with these pinstripe Remos on it, they just absolutely sing. It's really, really, really cool. Using my kick pad, because why would you record real kicks in our stuff? Playing really super fast stuff, it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, we're using a Roland kick pad for all the kick stuff. I play with this live as well. I don't use a real kick live, and then I just run the sample into the trigger pad. I run the trigger pad into the rig, which has my samples, and then that goes to the front of house. And we're doing the same here. I'll be able to hear the samples in my cans. It's a DW rack. Well, actually, it's a PDP rack, but really it's a subsidiary of DW, I believe. And that's about it. Other than that, my trick pedals, I'm actually using my Dominators. I've got two pairs of trick pedals. These are the Dominators, which are the sort of lower price point pedals. Loved them to death. I've had this particular pair for about 5 or 6 years now. These have been my absolute workhorses, as you can probably tell from the state of them. Very smooth, very fast, low action, high action, super adjustable. I've got a pair of Pro 1Vs at home as well, which were my really, really nice Rolls-Royce pair. They've got the laser triggers on them, the SB1s. Huge fan of them. I'll probably be using those internationally when I've got to fly for the tour at the end of the year. But yeah, love the trick hardware. It's always been, I've just recently become a trick artist, and I'm very, very proud to endorse those. And just touching on the trick stuff, we've got these cymbal toppers, these trick cymbal toppers, which are quick release. And I cannot understate how much of a difference these have made in setup and pack down times. They're just so easy to use. It's just literally one motion and they stay, and it's solid as a rock. But yeah, that's more or less what we're running in the studio. This is what we've decided on for recording for the album. My on-stage stuff is very similar, but I'll do a future breakdown for that and run you guys through what I've got on the stage every night when we're touring. Thanks for watching.